Video News in the Funk Groove.
That's right, it's KP Video News, and I'm coming to you today. I'm going to do that part two on the overlooked Black history of Memorial Day. I'm just going to hit it, kind of a little, hit you with a refresher here. And so it says, nowadays, Memorial Day honors veterans of all wars, but its roots are in America's deadliest conflict, the Civil War. Approximately 620,000 soldiers died, about 2/3 from disease. The work of honoring the dead began right away all over the country, and several American towns claim to be the birthplace of Memorial Day. Researchers have traced the earliest annual commemoration to women who laid flowers on soldiers' graves in the Civil War in the hospital town of Columbus, Mississippi in April 1866. But historians like Pulitzer Prize winner David Blight have tried to raise awareness of freed slaves who decorated soldiers' graves a year earlier to make sure that their story gets told too. According to Blight's book, Race and Reunion, the Civil War in American Memory, a commemoration organized by freed slaves and some white missionaries took place on May 1st, 1865 in Charleston, South Carolina, at a former planters racetrack where Confederates held captured Union soldiers during the last year of the war. At least 257 prisoners died, many of disease, and were buried in unmarked graves, so black residents of Charleston decided to give them a proper burial. In approximately 10 days leading up to the event, roughly 24 African American Charlestonians reorganized the graves into rows and built a 10-foot white fence around them. An archway overhead spelled out "Martyrs of the Racecourse" in black letters. About 10,000 people, mostly black residents, participated in the May 1st tribute, according to the coverage back then in the Charleston Daily Courier and the New York Tribune. Starting about 9 a.m., about 3,000 black school children paraded around the racetrack holding roses and singing the Union song, John Brown's Body, and were followed by adults representing aid societies for freed black men and women. Black pastors delivered sermons and led attendees in prayers and in the singing of spirituals, and there were picnics. Jane Redpath, a white director of freedmen's education in the region, organized about 30 speeches by Union officers, missionaries, and black ministers. Participants sang patriotic songs like America and We Rally Around the Flag and the Star Spangled Banner in the afternoon. Three white and black Union regiments marched around the graves and staged a drill. The New York Tribune described the tribute as a procession of friends and mourners as South Carolina and the United States never saw before. The grave sites looked like one mass of flowers, and the breeze wafted the sweet perfume from them, and tears of joy were shed. The tribute gave birth to an American tradition, Black wrote in Race and Reunion. The war was over, and Memorial Day had been founded by African Americans in a ritual of remembrance and consecration. In 1996, Blight stumbled upon a New York Herald Tribune article detailing the tribute in the Harvard University archive, but the origin of the story it told was not mentioned and was not the Memorial Day history that white people wanted to tell. About 50 years later, after the Civil War ended, some of the United Daughters of the Confederacy asked the Ladies Memorial Association of Charleston to confirm that May 1st tribute occurred and received a reply from S.C. Beckwith. And it's like, okay, so you got all this history going on, and then you also, when it comes down to it, said the fact that the Freed Slaves Memorial Day tribute is not as well remembered is emblematic of the struggle that would follow as African Americans fight to be fully recognized for their contributions to American society, and that continues to this day. And I said this, like I said, this is part two of what I did yesterday, and about the truth about Memorial Day. This is the overlooked Black history of Memorial Day. This is part two, and going on with that, we just got to telling the story about veterans, and this is where we are today as far as veterans go. So Veteran Affairs gives 1,300 vets unproven COVID-19 drug touted by Trump. And I'm going to make sure I put the link in there so you can read it for yourself. The Federal Department of Veterans Affairs has been giving 1,300 veterans hydrochloroquine as a treatment for the coronavirus since late March, even though the drug has not been proven to be effective against the illness and may even trigger fatal heart problems. The study of 100,000 patients with COVID-19 published Friday in the medical journal The Lancet, patients who received hydrochloroquine had a significantly higher risk of death compared to those who were not given the drug. We were unable to confirm a benefit of hydrochloroquine on an in-hospital outcome for COVID-19, the researchers concluded. An April study of veterans who were given the drug, relentlessly hawked by President Donald Trump, produced similar findings. Veterans Affairs Secretary Robert Wilkie said in a letter Friday to the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer that despite mounting concerns about the drug, the VA will continue to use hydrochloroquine for veterans. Revelations of the use of the controversial anti-malarial drug have sparked concerns about the effects it may have on veterans, many of whom are older and have underlying health conditions that make them more susceptible to a fatal side effect of the drug, heart arrhythmias and irregular heartbeats. Veterans groups remain deeply concerned that the VA has made large purchases of the drug and appears to have administered it to veterans despite the well-known and in some cases fatal risk. And Schumer wrote Wilkie earlier this month. After Wilkie's letter on Friday, Schumer responded in a statement later that day saying, "This drug may be useless or even harmful to COVID-19 patients, but the VA continues to administer it to hundreds of vets while we are just learning of this." Why are we just learning of this? We need to know what the basis was for using this drug against the consensus of science, which called into question its effectiveness in treating COVID-19, he continued. We also need to know who is authorizing these new trials, what facilities are participating, and what families are being told. Trump has been aggressively pitching hydrochloroquine since March, even though the drug had not yet undergone clinical trials examining its effectiveness against COVID-19. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration and the World Health Organization have both warned against the use of the drug to treat COVID-19. Last Monday, the president attacked a study of veterans treated with the drug that showed no benefits against the coronavirus. He called the findings a Trump enemy statement, insisting that they were politically motivated. He then claimed that he had been taking the drug for weeks, and though he had planned to stop on Friday. The Trump administration ordered 29 million doses of hydrochloroquine before it underwent trials for the COVID-19 treatment. The VA also bulk ordered some 6.3 million doses, according to Wilkie's letter. The drug is now being administered on veterans by the VA in certain circumstances, largely at the final stages of a veteran's life, in the hope that it will have some positive effect, Wilkie wrote. So therefore, the veterans that are in the VA hospital are basically being used as guinea pigs, and it's a real sad situation that we're in, and we're caught in the middle of between a rock and a hard place, man, when you start dealing with the stupidity that's coming out of Washington, D.C. at this time. And here it is. This is Memorial Day, a day that we're supposed to be celebrating those veterans that have died in the defense of this country and now we need to have somebody that's going to defend them from the country. It's a sad situation, really, truly sad. And like I said, I will post the links so you can go read the story for yourself.
It's KP Video News in the Funk Groove.